want to welcome back our powerhouse panel with our White House correspondent Emerald Robinson. Mark Halperin's with us. Rick Gates is here. Stacey Washington from Stacy on the Right back with us as well. Mark, I'm going to put up some stills onto the screen here, some pictures of Joe Biden's notes that somebody was able to snag yesterday. It is not uncommon. I want to make this very clear. It's certainly not uncommon for a president to walk into the briefing room with a binder or with notes. However, the frequency with which I noticed President Biden referencing these notes, and you can read right there, the United States now ranks 13th globally in infrastructure, down from 5th place in 2002. He said that yesterday. And he said the China segment too. China spends 3 times more on infrastructure than the U.S. These notes are usually crutches. Mark, to me, these notes were the script yesterday.
You know, using notes for statistics is very common, and I don't think anybody would make any comment on that. It's the fact that he seemed to be using notes to say basic thematic things that should be, you know, right at the tip of his tongue as part of his presidency. I don't know why he was doing it. I'm not in a position to say why. I just know that I don't recall ever seeing a president refer to notes as frequently or refer to notes on matters that really are just kind of rhetorical as opposed to statistical.
It's a great point. Let's show a moment where Joe Biden sort of seemed to lose his train of thought. He kind of short-circuited here when he was talking about the filibuster, but this is probably why he needed those notes. Take a look.
I'm going to say something outrageous. I have never been particularly poor at calculating how to get things done in the United States Senate. So the best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway, we're going to get a lot done.
Stacey, I don't remember President Trump losing his train of thought like that. Barack Obama, you might not like his politics, but he was an eloquent guy, and that certainly never happened when he was in office either.
So there's this point in your career that you get to where you've done all the things and you've been in all the spaces and you've heard all the speeches and you've made all the speeches. And at some point, it just becomes a part of your rote memory where you can perform, you can answer on demand. The items are at your recall. And so you may have like little moments where you're struggling for the right word, but the information is there. We don't see that with him. We used to. I remember when he would just get up and pontificate, no notes at all. Yeah. But this is where he is in his, the progression of this dementia. And it's so sad to watch, and our enemies are watching.
Stacey, let me jump in. We're going to try to get your audio corrected there. But Emerald, in the beginning of that soundbite, there was a little chuckle. It sounded like in the room. You were in that room, and it just, for me, I watched my daughter. My 4-year-old's in tumbling, and she had a recital, if you want to even call it that. They basically just tried to get the kids to do the same thing for like 5 minutes. And the whole time I'm watching, I was nervous for my 4-year-old just because I didn't want her to mess up and feel embarrassed because I didn't want to be, I didn't want her to feel that way. I had the same feeling watching this press conference yesterday.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I do think he did. I think the expectation was very low. I think amongst even those in the press corps who are very friendly with this administration. And he did manage to make it through that full press conference. And I said yesterday that if that was their goal, then they were definitely successful in it. Now, if you look at how the press conference played out, it was done in such a way that made that goal more achievable. He wasn't really pressed. And I think Mark was absolutely dead on correct when he said the follow-ups weren't the kind of follow-ups that you would normally have in a press conference, really pinning him down, even questioning. He gave a lot of very false information in regards to the southern border specifically, and also related to, he also claimed that the last president didn't say anything about the Uyghur Muslims, and that's just verifiably false, as they were on their way out. They actually gave them a designation, China designation for that. So he wasn't pressed on that and made it a little bit easier for him to get through. But there were a couple moments like that where it almost fell apart. And I would look at his staff to see how they were reacting. And there was I could tell some of them were holding their breath a little bit.
Yeah. Rick.
Rob, can I give?
Mark, jump in. Yeah.
I just want to give an example because this is central, right? When the biggest topic was immigration. And on immigration, the question is, have Joe Biden's policies led to what's happening at the border? He denied it. Then he also said that he wasn't going to turn any children back because that would be inhumane. So I just was surprised no one asked the follow-up. Mr. President, you've now said this isn't your fault, and you've also said you won't turn any children back. How do you square that? That seemed like, to me, the most obvious follow-up of the day. People followed up on immigration, but they didn't frame it anything like that to pin him down.
Yeah, there was, Rick, what'd you make of the dynamic, the setup of this? It was so orchestrated. It was like a Broadway show. Somebody was there with a microphone. You were instructed to ask a question. He would go on this, 6-7 minute soliloquy, diatribe about whatever. He wouldn't even answer the question. Honestly, sometimes I forgot what the question was myself.
Yeah, and look, the responses were very rambling. And this is the danger of having a press conference where you have to cover vast amounts of information where, yeah, of course he's going to have to use note cards because he's waited so long. Most presidents would have had a press conference just strictly on the immigration issue, just by itself. So the fact that he had to kind of condense all this information, which he didn't even cover, a fraction of everything going on. One interesting thing, I was listening to him go through it, I kept thinking in my head, like, he's going to continue using the executive order because a lot of his responses in terms of how he's going to get these policies done, he didn't really have a real plan or a real strategy for it. And you could just kind of sense that in a couple instances, he almost referred to the idea that, he was going to take care of it, kind of bypass Congress, his idea of unity when the question was asked. He made the comment that, Congress is not unified, but, the American public's unified for me, which I didn't believe either. But it just goes to show that he's going to really struggle, I think, to accomplish and achieve a lot of the policy objectives that he set out. And yesterday, he gave us a very small fraction of, what he's actually done and all the problems that he avoided that, he has, come about. I was going to ask Emerald, I'm just curious if she had been asked the, opportunity to ask a question. Now, I want to know what the question would have been.
Well, I had several on my list. So by the time he got to me, I would have seen what mood struck me at the moment. But I did want to ask about Rachel Levine because I think it's very important that she is now a senior administration official at the Health and Human Services Department. And she is implicated in doing the same thing in Pennsylvania that happened in the nursing homes in New York. I mean, these are people's lives. And she's going to be making major policy. I think that's just. But I also think Hunter Biden should have been brought up.
Agreed.
I think he should have asked, somebody should have asked, has he divested himself of his interest in that Chinese private equity firm? There was also a Politico story out yesterday about he and Hunter Biden and a gun incident in 2018. I noticed Politico wasn't called on. Maybe that was one reason why.
Right.
Because they would likely be on the list.
We've got to leave it there. Yeah, Hunter Biden left a gun in his car. His ex-girlfriend, his former brother's wife, threw the gun out. Apparently, he lied on the form to buy that gun and said he was not a drug user, which is a felony, by the way.
Secret Service stepped in the situation in 2018. Why is Secret Service addressing?
No, I know. The Secret Service, they may have tried to cover for him. That's a whole other story. By the way, Emerald, my Woke Up America today is all about Rachel Levine. So we'll have that for you in about 15 minutes here on Wake Up America. So stay tuned. Panel, we'll pick this back up at the top of the hour. Great conversation as always.